Hello, I'm Mark Price. I'd like to talk to you today about the Be Happy attitudes. There was a dog that kept showing up at a home, and week after week the dog would just show up, and the owners of the home would take and drive him down the street and say, shoo, 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 go home, and the dog always would come back. No sooner did they leave him off, the dog would come back. And finally the wife said to the man, maybe you should really take him out in the middle of nowhere. Just drive out in the middle of nowhere, leave him there, and that should do it. So this one day the dog came back, and the man put the dog in his truck and drove him out literally to the middle of nowhere around these dirt roads, and let him out of the truck and said, now go home, go to your home. And the dog took off. Well, then the man is trying to drive home and he's lost. And he calls home and he said, honey, did the dog come back? And she said, yes, he did. And he said, well, would you put him on? I need directions home. So sometimes we need directions from the different kinds of sources that God puts in our lives. So the readings today for the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he had sat down, his disciples came to him. He began to teach to them, saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the land. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall be shown mercy. Blessed are the clean of heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they insult you and persecute you and utter every kind of evil against you falsely because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven. Thus they persecuted the prophets who were before you. The Gospel of the Lord. So there you have it, the very famous Sermon on the Mount, part of the Sermon on the Mount, and the teaching of the Beatitudes. Now for years, I was active and involved with Dr. Robert Schuller, who had created and built the Crystal Cathedral in Orange County, California. Interestingly, he started in California, his church, at a drive-in movie theater, standing on top of the snack bar. And look at, during this COVID time, how many churches went back to drive-ins and started preaching from the drive-in theaters to cars out watching them. But anyway, the older we get, the more we realize there's not that much new anymore. Everything old is new again. But I was involved up there because I was invited to participate in something called ISOC, International School of Christian Communication. And I was there initially as a participant, a student, and then I was invited back to teach, and I taught preaching in the first person. And I enjoyed my time up there. They always knew I was Catholic. I'm a proud Catholic. I've spoken in my 46 years of ministry to all kinds of churches and synagogues, and even to Muslims at mosques. And they always know I'm Catholic. I always let them know I'm a proud Catholic. But I was called on the carpet once by a dear sister, a nun, who called my Catholicity into question for having the audacity of being involved at the Crystal Cathedral. By the way, the Crystal Cathedral is now Christ Cathedral, the cathedral for the Diocese of Orange in Southern California. Everything old, new again. Things come around, interestingly. But nonetheless, she called my Catholicity in question for my involvement. And I said, well, if you're going to call my Catholicity into question for involvement at the Crystal Cathedral, well, then you have to call the Catholicity into question of Bishop Fulton Sheen and Cardinal Mahoney and Father Henry Nouwen, all who preached and were involved in different activities at the Crystal Cathedral. So I believe that as people of faith, we don't do ourselves or faith any favors by hiding ourselves away or just hanging out with our own. Jesus, as an example, went to everybody. and was there as an example of how to live to everybody. Jesus didn't compromise on who he was. We, as people of faith, don't compromise on who we are, but we should be willing to be with other people of faith. So today I want to share with you the Be Happy attitudes. These readings, the Beatitudes, will come up at other times, so I will have other opportunities to give you my thoughts on each of them. But today I'm just going to briefly go through what Dr. Robert Schuller wrote a book on, the Be Happy attitudes. He takes each beatitude and it comes up with a different phrase, a modern phrase to describe it. So I'm going to run through those, and that's my reflection for today. So number one, I need help. I can't do it alone. That's for blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom in heaven. Number two, I'm really hurting, but I'm going to bounce back. That's for blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Number three, I'm going to remain cool, calm, and corrected. That's for blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Number four, I really want to do the right thing. And that's for blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness' sake, for they shall be satisfied. Number five, I'm going to treat others the way I want others to treat me. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Number six, I've got to let the faith flow free through me. And that's for blessed are the poor of heart. Blessed are the poor of heart, for they shall see God. Number seven, I'm going to be a bridge builder. For blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And number eight, I can choose to be happy anyway. For blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Well, there you have it, his Be Happy attitudes. He wrote it years ago in a book. You can Google the book if you'd like to spend more time reading what I just read. There's a link in the description part of this YouTube, and you can download it as a handout what I just read to you. So on this day when the reading is the Beatitudes, which some have called the 8 commandments of the new covenant. We have the 10 commandments which God gave to Moses in the Old Testament, representing that part of the Old Covenant. Jesus is giving us these 8 Beatitudes, ways for us to live our life, and often they're called the 8 commandments of the New Covenant. So however you interpret them, please read them, please pray about them. If you're looking for a way to pray, a catalyst for prayer, just open the Beatitudes. Take them one by one and pray about each one and how it will impact you, what God is speaking to you, what God is saying to you, and what you need to do to move in the direction of God. And if you need direction, don't ask the dog. Turn to Scripture. Go back to church. This is Mark Price. Thanks for listening.